Today I want to take you through a walkthrough of how I use the ZOE app on a day-to-day basis. Hi everyone, if you're new here, my name is Osama. I'm a pharmacist of 22 years experience working here in England. Welcome to the channel. So in part one of this ZOE app series, I went through the basics of the app and the testing that goes into setting up your profile, but today I want to go into more of the practical day-to-day way of using the app and how I use it to help me decide what to eat on a daily basis. So let's open up the app and I'll give you a quick look into how it works. So the first thing you'll see is your score for the day. So I've had quite a healthy breakfast and it's totted up all the constituents of the breakfast that I've had and gave me the score of 88 for the day. Our aim is to progressively work towards getting a score that's closer and closer to 100 over the sort of days, weeks and months as you get used to eating in the ZOE system. The closer score you get to 100, it means you're eating in the most optimal way for your body. And this optimal way has been decided for each individual user depending on the data that's been gathered in the initial setup period. So unlike traditional nutritional approaches, we're ditching calories and we're looking more at the effect that the food has on our bodies in terms of blood sugar response, blood fat response, and the response the food has on our gut microbiome. As in one of my previous videos, I discussed the fact that breakfast is probably the key meal of the day in that you can influence it and you can get a high scoring meal, as I've shown in the screen recording. If you can get a decent breakfast, you can get a high score for the day, and it's probably the meal that you have the most control over, so it's much easier to get the day off to a good footing with a solid scoring breakfast. If you have a low scoring breakfast, for example having a traditional English fry up, you already get a lot of fat accumulation in the blood and that really drags down your score, and it's very hard to try and claw that back as the day progresses. It takes about 6 to 8 hours I think to clear the bad fats out of the body, so that's why you can get such a poor score quite rapidly. So what you do, you keep logging your food, like your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, snacks, and then at the end of the day there's like a reflection. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So this is the reflection screen on the app at the end of the day. So what you do, you put in your hunger levels, you put in how energetic you felt for the day, you put in how well you followed the ZOE system, how many times you opened your bowels, the consistency of your stools, and also your weight. So you put all that in and you have a summary right there and then of your weight, your score, your energy levels, things like that. So it's really quite useful, to be honest. Apart from logging the foods, the app also has a great selection of foods within it that's all scored for my own unique genetic signature. Some of the foods I've not eaten before, but using artificial intelligence, the app can predict the score that food is going to be for me. And I think that's one of the most useful aspects of the app, in that I can just use it to predict what score I'm going to get for certain foods before I even eat them. It also has a barcode scanner built into the app, which is fantastic, so I can be out in a supermarket, whatever, I can scan a food, I can scan whether it's processed, ultra processed, whatever, and I can get a score there and then. Now it doesn't include everything, but the library of foods within the ZOE app is growing by the day. You might get a few funny looks walking around the supermarket scanning foods, but to be honest with you, I couldn't care less. My health and your health is far more important than any funny looks that you might get. And this personalisation of the food is really an amazing feature, because as I've described before, even identical twins react differently to the same food, so you can bet your bottom dollar that you and me are going to react differently to the same foods as well. And that's why we need something like this, the ZOE app, to personalise nutrition. You can't have a one-size-fits-all approach to nutrition. So for example, there were some real shockers in the app. So foods like dates that I used to love as a snack, I still love, I scored about 0 for it. It was a real shock. It's one of the most unhealthiest things I can have, I'm presuming because it causes such a big glucose spike. So going back to breakfast, other foods that I thought were really healthy, like Weetabix with 0 sugar, actually come under the ultra processed category, and it was scoring as low as 23, which is obviously just terrible. Well, going back to the food library, it's divided into different sections such as gut boosters and gut damages, and again this is really handy because you can just see which foods are going to promote gut health and which foods are going to destroy your gut. One big tip that I will give you is that you can combine low scoring foods with high scoring foods, so you end up dragging the overall average score higher. So that means you don't always have to live like a monk. You can eat a bit naughty as well, but as long as you combine it with high scoring foods, your overall score will be decent. There's also a section within the app that contains recipes, so that's really handy. You can just pick a healthy recipe and run with it, and they have also added a new feature where you can import recipes directly into the app from other websites, which is just, again, fantastic. It does make me wonder in the future, are they going to add more functionality to the app, like in terms of sleep tracking, for example, and maybe even they can add on how you feel for the day as well. Now, I'd say the main difference between the ZOE app and other apps that I've used for nutrition is that this app is very much time dependent. So going back to what I was saying earlier about the accumulation of poor quality fats within the bloodstream, if you have like a decent breakfast but then a bit of a crap lunch that has poor quality fats, it's very hard to get a high scoring finish to the day. So what I tend to do now is have a healthy breakfast. I try to have a healthy lunch, in that if I'm going to have something a bit naughtier, I will have that towards the end of the day, so that I haven't got these fats in my system through the day that takes forever to clear. And the more of these poor quality fats you have going around in your bloodstream, again, the higher the levels of inflammation. That's why you want to either avoid them altogether or postpone these poor fats right towards the very last meal of the day, so that it's not dragging down your overall score. So all in all, the app really is pretty good. It gives you something a bit different to the normal nutrition apps. It's highly personalised, which no other app is doing as far as I'm aware. And it's also nice to move away from the strict regime of calorie counting, although more in that in the next video. This is essentially a glimpse into the future of healthcare and nutrition, and I very much believe that it's the way forward for a lot of healthcare. I hope you enjoyed that anyway, a bit of a glimpse into how I use the app on a day-to-day basis. In the next video, which will be the last video in this series, I'm going to bring it all together and give my conclusions as to what I think about the ZOE app and the ZOE program in general. I look forward to seeing you in part 3. See you soon. Bye.